You know, for the longest time, fighting cloud vendor lock-in felt like, well, like you were on your own, a real uphill battle. But what if I told you that's not the case anymore? What if some massive new allies just showed up on the scene and they are completely changing the game? Let's get into it.
All right, before we jump in, we've got to cover the usual disclaimer. Just so we're all on the same page, this is Module 6 of a 9-part overview on avoiding cloud vendor lock-in. All this is based on some really comprehensive research from Virtualization Options LLC, but it's meant to provide general principles. It doesn't come with any warranty, and it's definitely not legal advice. For that, you should always talk to a competent legal counsel who knows the laws in your specific area. Okay, let's get started.
So let's kick things off with a pretty big question. I mean, we spend so much time thinking about our architecture, our negotiation tactics to stay flexible, right? But what if the biggest forces breaking down the walls of cloud lock-in have nothing to do with us? What if they're happening out there in the world?
And honestly, that's exactly what's going on. We're stepping into a whole new era of cloud freedom. And it's all being driven by two massive global trends that are crashing into each other. A tech revolution bubbling up from the ground, and a regulatory tidal wave coming down from the top.
Okay, let's start with that first one, the bottom-up revolution. This is the really cool part. This isn't something the big cloud providers are handing down to us. No, this is a grassroots movement. It's coming from the global tech community itself, building this incredible ecosystem of open-source tools that are designed from day one for freedom and portability.
And right at the heart of all this, you've got the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. You'll hear it called the CNCF. Think of them as the champions of this movement. What they've done is nurture this whole universe of open-source projects. And these aren't just little side projects. We're talking powerful, enterprise-grade tools. But here's the absolute key. They are all designed to run the same way, no matter where you put them. That is huge.
This right here, this is the bedrock of portability today. You've got Kubernetes, which is now the undisputed king of managing containers. It's a standard. Every major cloud offers it. Then you layer on top of that tools like Helm, which helps you package up your applications, and Argo CD, which lets you deploy them using this awesome GitOps approach. Basically, your code repo becomes the single source of truth. And what that all adds up to is a consistent, repeatable workflow that works exactly the same on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, anywhere. You're suddenly free from those vendor-specific deployment tools.
Now, as our apps get more and more complex, with all these little microservices talking to each other, just managing that communication becomes a nightmare. That's where something called a service mesh, like Istio or Linkered, comes in. It's like a dedicated traffic cop for your services. It handles all that complex networking, security, and observation, and you guessed it, it works the same way no matter which cloud you're on. The same idea applies to open-source API gateways like Kong and Tyke. They stop you from getting stuck with a proprietary service like AWS API Gateway.
So you've got this complex application. How in the world do you know what's actually happening inside of it? You need observability. And again, the open source world has a complete, portable answer for that. You've got Prometheus grabbing all your metrics. You have Jaeger for distributed tracing, which is amazing. It lets you literally follow a single user's request as it bounces between all your different services so you can pinpoint problems. Then FluentD grabs all your logs. And the glue that holds it all together? Open telemetry. It standardizes how you collect all this data in the first place, making your entire monitoring stack portable. You get one single consistent view, and it doesn't matter where your code is running.
Okay, so that's the bottom-up force, all that amazing technology. Now let's switch gears and look at the second major force, the top-down push. This one is coming from governments and regulators all over the world. And believe me, it is forcing the hands of the big cloud providers. And it all boils down to this idea of data sovereignty. More and more countries are passing really strict laws that say, hey, if you have data on our citizens, it has to stay inside our borders. Now think about that. No single cloud provider has data centers in every single country. So just to stay compliant with the law, companies are being pushed into using multiple clouds or hybrid setups. It's not even a choice anymore, it's a requirement.
And just look at how quickly this is ramping up. It really kicked off with GDPR in Europe back in 2018. Then, in 2020, you have the Schrems II decision, which made things even more complicated for U.S. cloud providers handling EU data. But the real bombshell, the one to watch, is the EU's proposed Data Act from 2023. For the first time, a major regulation explicitly calls out cloud vendor lock-in and demands that providers make it easier for customers to switch. I mean, that is a total game changer.
This shift is so profound that, as our source material points out, cloud exit strategies are no longer just some technical thing that architects nerd out about. Nope, these conversations are now happening in board meetings.
Why? Because getting locked into one vendor has gone from being a technical headache to a massive business and regulatory risk.
So here's the most important takeaway, the thing that really changes the whole picture. These aren't just two separate trends happening at the same time. They are converging, they're feeding off each other, and it's their combined impact that is reshaping cloud strategy for everyone. It's like, for the very first time, we have this perfect storm. You've got the bottom-up force of the open source community giving us the practical tools for portability. That's the how. And at the exact same time, you've got this top-down force from regulators, creating the strategic mandate to do it. That's the why. For the first time ever, the tools and the rules are pointing in the exact same direction, towards cloud freedom.
Which brings us to a final and, I think, pretty provocative thought. In this new world where you have both the open source tools to be portable and the regulatory pressure that demands you be portable, is getting locked into a single vendor really an unavoidable technical problem anymore? Or is it now a deliberate strategic choice that you are making? And if it is a choice, is it one your business can really afford to make?